guys. I hope you're all right. Welcome to my channel. Um, I've been reading a lot of material here and there, from fiction to non-fiction. The last book that I reviewed was really riveting book called Educated by Tara Westover, and it was pleasant read because I was like going through chapter to chapter and wonderful. So I brought you another book. This book is The Lover by Marguerite Duras. I eyed on this book for a long time because I read the book to some extent, but not like on a total concentration, with a total concentration. Uh, Surprisingly, I had watched the movie twice. The movie that is based on this novel, The Lover. I was really moved by the movie because it's sensual. It's a bit, revealing. So I really recommend my readers, sorry, listeners, that you must watch the movie before you read the book because you will find a very thin line between this particular, description of the movie as well as the book, because you know there is a little fluff what I really feel in the novel, whereas the movie is completely centered around a relationship between a white girl and a Chinese rich man. So, well, without further ado, I've been, you know, I've almost um, marked on every page because this book, like I've said before, a little, characters were talked about, the characters which had no meaning in the subsequent paragraphs, because this is a chapterless book. And okay, let me read it. Okay. She was careless, mud-headed, irresponsible. All that she went on living, and there were three of us loved her beyond love. Now, this is the description for the mother of girl, unknown girl, um, who is having two brothers and a mom. They are having odds at each other. They are fighting over small things, and they are buckled under a huge poverty. And this novel is actually centered in the country called Vietnam, and Saigon is the city where this novel starts from. And this is you know uh, the novel that also stretches into the other cities as well, but actually the relationship starts uh, from a bridge, right? Mekong Bridge, where this girl meets a much older boy. Throughout our affair for 1.5 year, we talk like this, never about ourselves. From the first, we knew we couldn't possibly have any future in common, so we would never speak of future. We would talk about day-to-day events evenly, hitting the ball back to the and forth. I tell him his visit to France was fatal. He agrees, says he brought bought everything in Paris, his woman, his acquaintances, his ideas. He is 12 years older than I, and he scares. This scares him. I listen to the way he speaks, makes sense, and love, even with the sort of theatrically at once and contrived and sincere. He often weeps because he cannot find strength to love beyond fear. Heroism to me is his heroism is me. His craveness is his father's money. He pays, he counts out the money, puts it into the saucer every time. Everyone watches. Like this is the incident where her brothers are, called on to be on a dinner together. The first time I remember, he lays out 77 Pietras. My mother nearly shrieks with laughter. We get up to leave. No one says thank you. No one ever says thank you for excellent dinner. Hello or bye or how are you, or no one else ever says anything to anyone. So her brothers were quite discourteous, and they were taking all the advantages of money and all that. But she was she told them that she's not in a relationship with him, but that's it is, she was in a relationship. Now my mother has attacks during which she falls on me, locks me up in my room, punches me, undresses me, come up to me and smells my body, my underwear. She says you can smell Chinese scent. Goes even further. Looks for suspect stains on my underwear and shouts for the whole town to hear that her daughter is a prostitute. She is going to throw her out and she wishes she die. No one will ever have anything to do with her. She is disgraced, worse than a bitch. And I mean, she has a subtle relationship thereafter, but in the subsequent time, um, her family gets to know that, and she was like that. And they were living in some apartment together, and she skips schools and in order to be with this guy. But uh, this Chinese man knew that she can't be with her with him for the rest of the life. That's why he was not being insistent, and her family and herself were willing to kind of go to Paris, and they were reluctant to live in Vietnam just because they were like having no money. Okay, now I would round up this book, but I may have you know skipped a lot of the material which I wanted to read, but now I'm coming to the last scenes of this book. At first, it's incomprehensible. Then, suddenly, from the directions, from the ends of the earth, comes pain. It buried me, swept me away. I didn't know anything. I ceased to exist for pain. What pain I didn't know. What pain, whether it was the pain returning of having lost a child a few months before, and a new pain. Now I think it was a new pain. I never knew, I never had known my stillborn child and hadn't wanted to kill myself, and as I wanted to know. And actually, there's a lot of crying in this book, and there's a lot of kissing and crying because um, they have been, you know, the girl and an old man, Chinese old man, are very much in love. And the girl initially is not, but the Chinese man is. So now I say we lived out of doors. Poverty has knocked us down the walls of family, and we were all left outside, each one fending for himself. Shamlets, that's we were, and that's how I came to be with you. He's on me, engulfed again. We stay like this, like that, retrieved, mourning amidst the din of the still external city. We can still hear, and we don't hear it anymore. Kisses on the body bring brings tears. Kisses on the body brings tears, almost like a consolation. At home, I don't cry, but that in that room, my tears console both the past and the future. I tell him one day I will leave my mother. One day, even for my mother, I will have no love left. I weep. He lays his head on me and weeps to me and to see me weep. I tell him that I was a child. My mother was unhappy. My mother's unhappiness took the place of dreams, muttering in the wilderness. So that is that. And lastly, I would review which I sort of wrote. Is I finished because I finished this book in one sitting, and it's 74 pages book. I read this book in one sitting. I loved the way story is portrayed by the writer. Somehow the pronouns were interchangeable. Like sometimes she was like becoming she, sometimes becoming I. So that's why I written. But the story was clear to me since I had watched the movie based on this novel. A very romantic novel, quite engaging in some paragraphs. Enjoyed to my fullest. Thank you for listening to this, and hope that I will come back to you with another video. Thank you.